to the art and the artist. Janet Yoo, or am I saying that correctly?
Janet Yoo. Yeah.
Janet Yoo. I knew it was one or the other, and I knew I was going to mess it up. All
It's
right.
okay.
Well, thank you so much. Yeah, a lot of questions. Beautiful, beautiful art. Oh, and actually, some of the pieces I have listed that I want to talk about are a couple of the ones that are behind you right there. But we will get into that in a little bit. So first question then is where are you from and where are you currently located?
Yeah. So born and raised in the San Fernando Valley, and
Okay.
currently I'm in Granada Hills.
How do you like the Valley? It's funny because I'm an LA kid, right? And I ended up going to the Valley. Well, I went to high school in Burbank,
Oh,
and that
okay.
kind of opened me up to the Valley, and it was much
Mhm.
different than living in Los Angeles, that's for sure.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I like it in terms
Yeah,
of it's okay in terms of food and whatnot, but and you
yeah,
get
yeah.
used to the heat. It's really hot in the Valley area.
Yes. Oh,
The
yes.
traffic is everywhere, but you
Yeah.
get used to it too.
That's true. Yeah, yeah. Anywhere in Southern California, you gotta, either you grow up with it or you move here and you gotta just kind of deal with it. That's
Yeah, fortunately,
uh
the territory.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. All right. So I want to talk about sort of the beginnings of your art journey. Were you always just an artistic person? Were you always drawing and sketching as a kid?
Yeah, I think ever since I was younger, or almost when I was born, I knew I wanted to do art. Actually, I remember in kindergarten, they asked you what you want to be when you grow up. And
Uh-huh.
I said I wanted to either be an artist or a
Wow.
veterinarian because I love just playing with pets.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I found out with the veterinarian, you use needles and you clean up stuff. I was like, no,
Yeah,
that's not for me.
yeah.
Yeah,
Much,
I
much
always knew
cleaner.
art was always my passion at a young age. So yeah.
Okay. Okay. So then when you decided, okay, because I'm sure, when you get older, you really kind of, put your foot down and say, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
How did your family react to you saying, okay, I'm going to be a professional artist?
Actually, they reacted really well. In high school, I had a lot of art contests that I won, a little bit in newspapers, and they're
Oh,
very proud of me. They supported
yeah.
my art. I took classes, I think at the age of 12 or so,
Hmm.
and they supported my artistic career. And my
Wow.
dad was always proud of me, and my mom,
Of
too.
course.
So they were very supportive of
Yeah. Oh,
my art.
that's great. That's
Yeah,
awesome. Yeah.
lucky.
Yeah. Yeah. Really. Yeah. Yeah. Because it's not always that way. It's
Yeah, unfortunately.
yeah. Yeah. When I do these interviews, I get a lot of parents saying, are you sure? Yeah. Maybe why
Yeah,
don't you get a regular job first? I'm like,
yeah.
this
I
is
mean,
a regular job.
yeah, I'm an art teacher, and so
Yeah.
my students tell me that all the time. I was
Yeah.
like, "Oh,
Oh, sure.
you should pursue art. You're so talented." And their parents like, "No, my parent doesn't want me. They want me to go into the medical field or
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
something that's more high pain." And
Uh-huh.
yeah, I can't argue with parents, and I understand being my parent itself, it's difficult, but
Hmm.
it's amazing to do art and to make a living off of it. So I try to encourage them
Yeah.
somehow, some way to keep pursuing it, maybe even if it's on the side or something.
Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely. That's fantastic. All right.
Mhm.
So what was your first sort of serious medium that you used? I mean, you've got these beautiful oil paintings now, but were you always an oil painter, or was that always the goal to be an oil painter?
Actually, no. I've gone through a lot of mediums. There was one point I did charcoal, and then another
Mhm.
point where I was just doing acrylic paints for
Yeah.
maybe a couple years, and then I did watercolors. But I always take art classes. I love
Yeah.
taking art classes, and as I'm right now, my art teacher he does oil painting,
Yeah.
and so I'm definitely that's my medium as of
Yeah.
right now. I've been doing it for I
Yeah.
think good 7 years now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Already, an accomplished painter, and you still take art classes. That's
I do. I
yeah.
do. And yeah, I'm an art teacher and like, oh, you still take art classes.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, for me, I feel art
Mhm.
is one of those mediums where you could keep going. There's
Yeah.
no level of just finishing. You could always learn things and new techniques. And I
Mhm.
go to different art teachers. I've had a lot of different art classes because
Wow.
every art class is different, and
Yeah.
the way they teach and the techniques you pick up, it's all
Mhm.
different.
Yeah.
But my skill level, I must say, technical wise, has grown so much because of my one art teacher right now. His name's Shaheen,
Okay.
and he has helped me so much and taught me new oil painting techniques I never knew before.
Wow. Okay.
So it's great. Yeah, I love the
Yeah.
art class I'm in right now.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Okay. So is it okay? So when you were younger, was there a particular teacher? Because I've heard stories about people taking art classes
Hmm.
and their instructors want them to do things a certain way. Now I understand, when it comes to like technical things,
Yeah.
there's no way around it. This is the
Yeah.
way you have to learn. But
Yeah.
as far as expressing yourself,
Hmm.
like painting what's inside of you, was
Hmm.
there, first question, did you ever have any instructor or teacher that sort of was like, no, this is the way you have to do it, and that's it? And also, did you ever experience someone who would just let you have that freedom to paint whatever you wanted?
Hmm. Good question. I had this one art teacher named Mrs. King growing up when I was 12 years old, and all I did were a lot of still lifes.
Yeah.
So, just setting up the still life and drawing it from life. And then there was the art contests that I feel were a little bit more free in terms
Mhm.
of, interpreting whatever the title was. There's one art contest that was Dreams Become Reality. And then
Okay.
I drew a bunch of people that, in a sport or dancing and whatnot from the beginning, and then them being successful on top. So
Mhm.
I think the art contests were a little bit better in terms of me being able
Mhm.
to express, my ideas a little more
Mhm. Yeah.
freely. But I definitely grew up, I think, heavily technical wise.
Okay.
And then in college, I went to Irvine, and in Irvine, they teach a lot more conceptual
Okay.
ideas and concepts, and I
Yeah.
think I had the mixture of the two.
Okay. Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
that's good. Yeah, absolutely. Because I know there are a lot of self-taught artists who have, a particular style,
Yeah.
but it's as far as like technical things go, I think it's I wouldn't say, you have to, but I think it's important to learn some of these things to, just kind of, further your art career. I think it's great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm, okay. All right. So you've shown in galleries, you've had shows, you've won
Mhm.
awards, since you were a kid. Do
Yeah.
you remember maybe the first award you won or the first show that you were accepted into and kind of the feelings around that? I mean, it's got to feel incredible.
Yes. Definitely. Definitely. A memory just popped into mind when you asked that question.
Mhm.
Um, So this wasn't my first award, but in high school, actually the artwork I was talking about, the Dreams Become Reality,
Mhm.
I won first place. And then they actually took me to Dodger Stadium,
Wow.
and they brought me in the middle of Dodger Stadium and
Whoa.
announced, yeah, I was a winner. That my face was on the big screen.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, it was amazing for high school.
Yeah, really.
Have
Yeah.
that experience. It was, yeah, it was
Mhm.
it was amazing, I'd say. And then my first gallery show, I think, was around 13 years ago.
Wow. Okay.
Um,
Okay.
and that one, I forgot actually
That's
where
great.
the exhibit
Okay.
was, but yeah, having my paintings up for the first time, I remember I had a
Yeah.
self-portrait, and it was me
Mhm.
in a hot air balloon, kind of just showing struggles of identity and being free. And it was definitely a very emotional
Yeah.
piece. So that was great. And then when people came to see it, they're like, "Oh wow, this."
Yeah.
You could really see the struggle that you were going through, and
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I was trying to capture that. So
Oh, that's great.
yeah, it was great. It was
Yeah, yeah. That's why I love going to shows too, because first to celebrate the artist, for, just the
yeah,
accomplishment,
yeah,
and and if I get a chance to, I like to talk to the artists that are there because I think, they don't need people's feedback. I understand that, but to have someone appreciate the things that you do, the hard work that, was put into,
yes,
creating these things. Yeah, it's great. It's
yeah, definitely. Thank you for
yeah.
showing your appreciation, because
Yeah. Oh
I think
yeah.
definitely sometimes lack of appreciation,
Yes.
or even the cost of certain artworks. People
Yeah.
are not investing in that for whatever reason, but they don't realize how much time and energy and
Yes.
effort and
Yeah.
dedication it takes to create just one art piece, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, wait, my dad was an artist, so I I saw the struggle. And this is, when I'm a kid in the 90s, and there's no internet, you
Yeah,
can't just post all your things, it was really a big effort to get your art seen. And
yeah,
so, yeah, I haven't personally gone through the struggle, but I mean, I understand it. And and this is, kind of the reason why I'm doing this, to
so great. That's
shine
one.
some light on the artist. Thank you.
Yes. What type of artwork did your dad do?
Oh gosh, my dad did a little bit of everything. A
Oh,
lot of
really?
mixed media, conceptual
Oh,
sort of art, welding. He worked with metals. He's doing digital
wow.
art now. Yeah, yeah. So I lived in the arts district, so I saw a lot of different, kind of artists. And
Okay.
yeah, yeah, it was
Wonderful.
yeah, it was a cool way to grow up. Yeah,
Yeah,
around a lot of artists. Yeah.
it's really great.
Okay. All right. So okay, I want to talk about uh showing in galleries. Now, you said the first time was about 13 years ago.
Yeah.
Did you did you experience any, I guess, gatekeeping? Because I know sometimes it's who you know,
Mhm.
it's who has seen your work, if it's somebody important. Was it easy for you to, I know this is tough because I mean you've been pretty successful for, since a very young age, but was it hard at all to submit your work and finally get accepted into galleries?
I say actually that's something I'm still working on is
Really?
showing more because ever
Mhm.
since the pandemic, I haven't shown
Yes.
hardly at all. But I joined a group. It's called California Artists League,
Okay.
and you had to submit your artworks to get accepted into it for membership. And that was my first art show. So it
Okay.
wasn't technically
Oh, that's cool.
directed towards connections or knowing anyone. It was just through the group.
Okay.
Um, and then just randomly, I would look on the internet, see if there's showing somewhere else. So
Yeah.
then I would just apply to La Gitana. I saw it
Mhm.
was in the Valley area, so I applied there and showed there. So all of it has just been through just researching and
Yeah.
finding it myself. But again, it's something that, I'm an art teacher, but I definitely would love to grow that art side in terms
Yeah.
of exhibiting more and selling
Yeah.
more and getting my name out, you know.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
of course.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I was at another show on Friday, and I got to talk with the curator of the show. It's a wonderful woman named Grace Kim. And hopefully I sort of tentatively threw out an interview request from her, and hopefully it goes through. But yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot that goes into putting these shows together and finding the right artist. And
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I can see how it could be, tough for because I mean, you think about just all of the artists that are here in, Southern California. It's and I mean, there are a lot of galleries, but it's got to be tough.
Yeah, it's definitely competitive. and
Yes, absolutely.
you're right, it is sometimes about who you know and whatnot. So
Yeah, yeah. Okay. I want to talk about, I saw this on your Instagram, something called here it is, the art list. Is that another one of these okay, first I want to say that you were what was this? You were the artist of the month with that beautiful painting of your daughter
yes,
behind you,
here.
which
Daughter,
absolutely wonderful. Is
yeah.
that same kind of thing where you submit your artwork and they send it out for people to look at? Okay.
It was the same. I'm part of their newsletter, and then I saw there was artist of the month, and then so
Yeah.
I just randomly, yeah, sent that artwork and got chosen for it. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was nice again to be recognized
Yeah.
for being the artist of the month.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, and that's an absolutely beautiful painting. I mean,
Oh, thank you.
when I look at your work, I get like a sense of like grace and beauty. You know what I mean? It's very like free flowing. It's
Yes,
yeah, it's wonderful to look at. And
yes,
and going through your work on your Instagram page, I've seen you've got a few paintings of your daughter, and sketches. Yeah, and so you could see you could see the growth of this child in your work. I mean, she's going to love it when she gets older. It's beautiful.
yeah. And family is definitely my subject matter. I mean, this one
Yeah.
is my mom.
Yeah.
So
Oh, yes.
I have
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I have a question about that.
Oh, sure, sure. Yeah.
So is that, I think that, yeah, that's the one. Great piece.
Yeah.
Um, so what does your family, like you said, I'm sure they're a great inspiration for you and the things that you create,
Mhm.
but your mother in general, because when I saw that piece, you could feel the love in this piece, and the
Yeah.
appreciation for your mother. What does she mean to you, and what has she meant to you on this art journey of yours? I mean, just life in general.
Yeah. Yeah. My mom is phenomenal. I can't even speak in terms of
Yeah.
how amazing she is. So she started her Korean music dance business, I think at the age of 50 or
Well,
so.
okay. Wow.
And she started in the Valley area, and I saw her go from maybe 3 students and performing at convalescent hospitals to
Mhm.
performing at now Disneyland and
Wow.
LA Zoo and being in
Mhm.
the newspaper. And my mom's phenomenal at so many levels. Like she's very successful in
Mhm.
her career, and she's very passionate about showing Korean traditional dance,
Yeah.
to everyone and sharing that culture.
Mhm.
And so I wanted to paint her in terms of her beauty and her grace. And thank you for saying that. So a lot of
Yeah.
my paintings are about women, and I wanted
Yes.
to show women in nature, or women's beauty, or
Mhm.
women's gracefulness. And so that painting I actually worked on, I think like 6 or 7 years ago.
Wow. Okay.
And I did it, and it was completely different. It had
Mhm.
clouds in the background. It had like this Korean temple. It had the
Mhm.
flag, and she thought it was too dark.
No.
So I
Okay.
changed it again, and then she
Yeah.
didn't like it.
Mhm.
I kept changing. So this painting, I think of all the paintings I've worked on, is probably the one I've revised the most out of
Yeah.
all of the paintings I've worked on.
Uh-huh.
And the art classes I'm taking right now, I noticed my technical ability has gotten so much better in
Oh,
terms of
sure.
drawing figures and
Mhm.
painting and the style. So I went back to my mom's painting. I was like, okay, I think I could do a better job.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh-huh.
And I did it again. And yeah, I love it so much more
Yeah.
that my mom
Yeah.
loves it.
Okay. She
So
approves of this one. Yeah.
yeah, actually when I was giving it to her, I'm like, I'm not doing any more changes. This
Yeah.
the
That's it.
final product. This is all you're gonna
Yeah.
get.
Yeah.
That's it. I was a little worried actually that
Yeah.
she wanted me to change something.
Uh-huh.
And it's funny because she's not nitpicky about my artworks at all. She loves
Yeah.
every single one of my
Of
artworks, but when it
course.
was of her, she was a
Yeah.
little,
Yes.
I should
Uh-huh.
be saying this, so she was a little bit, yeah, nitpicky on that. But she
Yeah.
loved it. Yeah, no
Yeah.
changes. She loved it. And
Good. Good. Yeah. 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 Beautiful. Beautiful piece.
thank you.
You just mentioned it, and something that I had noticed as I was going through your work is women,
Yeah.
and yeah, showing the elegance and the grace and the just the power of being feminine.
Yes.
Was
Yes.
that and always something important for you to show through your artwork?
It's a good question. I don't think so originally. I think
Mhm.
actually what sparked me was when I actually became a mother.
Oh,
So
okay.
when I actually became a mother 7 years ago, I got very inspired in terms of I was just in awe of mothers in general,
Yeah.
like the amount of work and dedication and
Mhm.
sacrifice, and especially the unconditional love,
Yeah.
that you never felt before until having children.
Yeah.
So right when I had my son, I did this series of just it's like blank faces, but holding a baby, and then the baby
Yes.
has a heart, and then the mother has a heart,
Mhm.
and it's just showing the unconditional love. And then so I think from there it kind of sparked my interest to just paint only women. So
Yeah. Yeah. Uh-huh.
now it's solely just not quite only about mothers, but it's even like dancers or
Mhm.
my mom, but just showing the grace and the beauty. And right now I'm actually working on a series where I want to show the power of women and the strength.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I'm doing a series I just started of this woman like warrior, and she's in this
Yes.
cloud of dust, and she's
Yeah.
actually that one she's holding a baby too.
Yeah.
Show like the strength of mothers, because I'm definitely in awe
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
every single mother out there. It's so hard to raise a
Yeah.
child, and especially beginning stages with the lack of sleep and
Oh, yes.
everything.
Yeah.
It's
No.
difficult.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
so I have a
agree.
lot of respect.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm one of 7 children. So my
Oh, wow.
yeah, my mother had
Shows your
a
mother superwoman.
yeah, yeah. So yeah,
Wow.
and I was a bit of a mama's boy. I love my mom. So
Oh,
I understand. Yeah. Yeah, and I saw that you're showing some of the progress of that the warrior woman with the baby. Yeah,
yeah,
I can't wait to see what it looks like when it's done.
yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank
Fantastic. Okay, I want to talk about the ballerina pieces. So the
you.
one
Okay.
that's behind you there, and
Yes.
there's another one where it's a woman in the clouds.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay. So this, you know what? My question might have been sort of answered because I mean the grace of dancing ballet and in your mother being doing traditional Korean dances. First, were you a dancer? Is what I wanted to know first. Is it
Oh, okay.
uh-huh.
I would say no. I
Yeah.
did dancing,
Yeah.
but yeah, not my forte. But with
Mhm.
my mom, though, she actually performs at a lot of venues, and I actually
Mhm.
do it too. So
Uh-huh.
I've been performing with my mom for I
Oh,
think
great.
15 years or
Wow. Oh, that's great. Okay.
yeah. But speaking of the ballerina painting,
Mhm.
so that one, the reason why I'm doing that series is because there's a person in my art class, her name's
Mhm.
Gilda, and she found an art studio that or dance studio that wanted paintings to show. And then
Mhm.
so she asked me to be a part of it, and I was like, yeah, of course, I definitely want
Yeah.
to, show my artwork. So a bunch of us in our classes are doing just all ballerinas.
Oh, wow.
So
Okay.
I did this one first, and then the other one with the ballerina and the cloud. I wanted not to only show the ballerina side, but I also wanted to put her in cloud to show the freedom,
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
being a ballerina. And she's going through kind of like a stormy weather
Yeah. Yeah.
cloud,
Uh-huh.
but her
Yeah.
arms are, like back, like to show like
Yeah.
she's gonna get through this, and she's just
Yes.
going straight through the, I guess,
Yeah.
pain or problems or
Yeah.
whatever it is, just by being free and open and facing,
Mhm.
those clouds. So
Yeah.
I use the ballerina almost like a metaphor to
Okay.
life, to
Yeah. Okay.
just struggles in general of people
Sure.
going through things, but it's better to face that fear and go through it versus
Yes.
holding back basically.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Great pieces too. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely love
Thank
them. You were part of I'm not sure if it was a show where you donated your artwork to a homeless shelter.
you. Yes, yeah,
Okay.
I forgot about that piece actually.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you for reminding me. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I want to know about that because I think that's absolutely wonderful thing. A wonderful thing to do.
Yeah. So it was California Artists League, and they wanted to donate artworks for a homeless shelter.
Hmm.
And then, so for that piece, I actually thought of the home being um, part of nature and being your
Hmm.
sanctuary. So
Right.
I drew the room, but then I also drew nature being a part of it, almost like a surrealistic,
Hmm.
effect. But the whole meaning behind it was just your home is your, sanctuary. It's very peaceful. It's like
Yeah.
nature.
Yeah.
So yeah, the meaning of it, I was thinking about homeless people not having that,
Yeah.
uh, yeah, having that sanctuary and just having, a place to call their home. But I
Yeah.
wanted to kind of show it through the painting instead.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah. Yeah. Great piece. Yeah. That one really that really struck me. Just the idea of this whole thing coming together with artists giving you the homeless shelter. It's
Mhm.
great. Okay. There was another, I think this is one of your older pieces. It was, hold on, I wrote it down, but now I gotta find it. It was a
Going way
Korean.
back, aren't
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You got a lot of stuff.
you?
It was a Korean landscape painting.
Uh-huh. Okay, yes, yes, yes.
Okay, you know what I'm talking. Okay, and
I know.
so, oh, and also, okay, actually, before I talk about that piece, I want to talk about another one. It
Okay.
was the melting pot piece. I guess
Yes,
a self portrait of. Okay, now
yes.
this is absolutely fantastic piece.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so how did that come together? And
Mhm.
also, I want to know, how growing up Korean in the San Fernando Valley.
Mhm.
And also, because I mean, depending on where you are and the people around you. Uh-oh. Siri, why did you turn on? Okay. I want to know how was life for you growing up Korean? And
Mhm.
I'm not sure how the valley was at that time.
Yeah.
It's pretty diverse now,
Yeah.
but as far as how I interpreted this, this piece of yours
Yeah.
of having to assimilate, almost, I don't want to say force, but I mean, some people want you to only identify as American
Yeah.
and sort of ignore your own heritage.
Yeah.
How was that growing up for you, and how did this piece come about?
Yeah. Great question. So that one, I think I was doing a lot of self-portraits at that time, and that artwork I created in college, and it was just a self-portrait assignment. And then so for me, growing up in the Valley area and being born and raised here, I definitely identify a lot more as being American and
Mhm.
speaking English. And
Sure.
so for me, I'd say I lost definitely my Korean culture. My mom tried to speak Korean with me, but at
Mhm.
one point I remember telling her, we're living in America. we,
Yeah, yeah,
we
yeah.
need to speak
Okay.
English. I'm not
Uh-huh.
I'm not speaking Korean anymore. And she gave up, and then so I lost my language, and then the culture too. I did not, sad to say, but I did not appreciate being Korean. I
Mhm.
thought it was cool. So,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
in America, I have American friends.
yeah.
So I definitely lost my identity. So that piece itself being, it's the pot, but there's American flag, and it's called the melting pot,
Mhm.
because people come here and they assimilate and they
Yeah.
lose their culture, and
Mhm.
they try to identify as being American. So my
Mhm.
face is melting into the pot, kind of
Yeah.
showing my identity being lost. And I like doing like 3-part series. So
Mhm.
on the left side, I did
Yeah.
the melting pot, but the steam turned into Korean symbols to show that
Mhm.
Korean identity. And then on the right side, I did the steam turning into American
Mhm.
symbols like Mount Rushmore and baseball and hamburgers.
Yeah, yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, whatnot. So I wanted to show the struggle that I definitely have being both Korean American. But
Mhm.
I must say, as I'm getting older, and
Mhm.
definitely when I have kids, I definitely appreciate being Korean
Yeah.
and want to learn the language better or keep those traditions, especially for my kids.
Yeah.
It's definitely lost a little bit with me, but with them, it's lost even more just because I don't
Yeah.
know, the language as much, and I'm
Mhm.
trying to teach them. But my mom doing the Korean music and dance definitely is the closest thing I have in terms of culturally, still being part of, the Korean culture and
Sure.
performing with her. And then my kids are learning it, so they're also
That's
picking up
great.
the culture.
Yeah.
Yeah, too.
Oh,
But that
okay.
one I still struggle with, being Korean
Yeah.
American,
Yeah.
identifying with both identities and cultures.
Yeah. 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 I would imagine so, because it's you have a sect of people who, okay, so for me, before I moved to the arts district, we had lived in the Wilshire district in Los Angeles. And I mean, when you think of, you know, when I was younger, we were taught, America is the melting pot of the world, right?
Yeah.
So that area I lived in, it was a lot of immigrants, right? I was
Mhm,
close to Koreatown. It was
mhm.
little Bangladesh, historic
Yeah,
Filipino town. We had a lot of
yeah,
Nigerians there.
yeah.
And and you do notice with the, the children of immigrants, it's I know it's important to become American, but some
Mhm,
of that, yeah, cultural identity is lost. But the thing that I loved about growing up in that neighborhood is because it's, I mean, I'll say what it is, it's this might sound a little messed up, but
mhm.
this neighborhood in particular, it's okay, let's put all the blacks and immigrants together together, right? Let's keep them out
Yeah,
of, you know what I mean? So
yeah.
I was very fortunate to grow up around so many diverse cultures.
Mhm,
I like to say there was a religious building of of every kind that you could think of there. There were
Wow.
mosques, there were churches, there were, I
Yeah.
mean, Koreatown, a lot of Korean, Christian churches there.
Yeah.
Um, and even when I moved downtown, I was very close to Little Tokyo and Chinatown. And I think that, I mean, to me anyways, growing up in these sort of neighborhoods, you learn to appreciate everyone for who they are. And that's why that series of yours really struck with me when I saw it, because like I said, I mean, my parents were born here, but I understand how a lot of people like that feel, how it's holding on to who you are and also trying to, you know, be an American. And it's,
Yeah.
yeah. And you did this in
Yeah.
college? Yeah, great
Yeah,
piece.
especially immigrants too. I
Mhm.
mean, I teach a lot of immigrant students, and they came straight from their
Yeah,
country, and they're just placed here, and then they know the language, and they don't feel like they fit in, and
yeah, yeah,
it's very difficult. Yeah,
yeah.
but the thing I do notice with my immigrant students is they're very hardworking. I
Yeah.
mean, and then they also appreciate school
Yeah,
so
yeah.
much more. I hate to say it, but
Yeah.
they really, they thank
Uh-huh.
me, and they appreciate being in the classroom. And
Yeah,
American students, I hate to say, take it for granted
sure.
sometimes, or don't appreciate the education as much as
Yeah.
immigrant students. But immigrants, the work ethic is
Mhm. Yeah.
incredible. I
Yeah.
must say, yeah,
Oh, that's fantastic.
yeah,
Ok okay, so being an art teacher, first, was that always a plan of yours to be an art teacher?
yeah,
And was it important to you to sort of share this gift that you have with, other artists trying to learn?
yeah. So yeah, I always knew I wanted to go in art. Question always is, how do you make a living?
Yeah, yeah.
Doing art, always a question. So I majored in studio art at Irvine, and then double minor in digital imaging and education. And
Mhm.
so I tried the graphic design route, and I was an intern at Muse Codero advertising company. And
Okay,
I didn't like it in the sense that I don't think it fit my personality. It's
okay.
very deadline oriented,
Oh, sure.
stress. It's not a stable, somewhat, of a job.
Mhm.
Obviously, you're behind a computer. You're not really interacting with anyone. So I gave that up, and then decided to go to CSUN to get my teacher credential and
Mhm.
become a teacher.
Oh, nice.
And right now, I think it's my 17th year teaching.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, that's
So I've been
incredible.
to different schools, been to like 3 different schools, but I absolutely love being an art teacher.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love being an art teacher. I mean, obviously, I'm very passionate about art.
Yeah.
Um, but for me, growing up, I was very shy and an insecure
Mhm.
person in high school. And
Mhm.
art definitely was my outlet, or was my therapy. It was my way to express, my opinion, versus being scared, what other people say about me. So with my art classes, I mean, I definitely wanted to give back, and I definitely, not only want to teach obviously the technical side, but give a space, like a safe space for students to express their emotions and their
Mhm.
feelings, and their opinions, and
Yeah.
to help maybe shy, people like me in high
Yeah.
school, and give them the outlet. And I always knew art is definitely, like a therapy. It's like, I feel like, it heals a part of you when you're doing it. But I feel after the pandemic that there's just so much trauma or things that came up for people, that I
Yeah.
feel art is even more important,
Yeah.
to teach and to give those students like even more of a de-stressor, or release, or just to be able to express their opinions, just because
Mhm.
we're still going through it. All of us are still,
Yeah.
even COVID is still going on, but we're still healing from that that
Yeah.
crazy,
Really.
yeah, 2 years of
Yeah.
being inside and not having
Yeah.
social interactions with people and
Yeah.
whatnot. So I definitely feel even more strongly about,
Oh,
teaching art to my students, and
yeah.
know the importance of it, and how much it impacts them. And yeah,
Yeah.
I love just making a difference, with the
Oh, that's
students through art.
that's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's great. Okay. Now, speaking about the pandemic,
Yes.
um, you know, it was, everything was closed off down here. I mean, that first year was rough, was
Yeah.
really bad.
Yes.
Now,
Definitely.
did that have an impact on well, I mean, I'm sure it had an impact on your students and school not being able to teach, but for you personally and the art that you're creating, did it impact it in any way? And also, I mean, just not, like you said, not being out to interact and, staying at home and, not being around, things that could inspire you.
Yeah,
Was there any sort of effect on the way you create?
yeah. Um, I'd say, yeah, I thought it would inspire me more in terms of just ideas of what I'm painting. I did one painting where it's just a mask. to,
Mhm, yeah.
yeah, to show that. But honestly, yeah, I don't think it affected my artworks or the meaning of my artworks as much. I definitely, yeah, still created obviously a lot of artworks. I had more time, to do
Mhm.
arts and whatnot. But for whatever reason, because I normally do artworks based off what I'm going through in my life or, self portraits and whatnot. For whatever
Mhm.
reasons, I don't think it sparked anything,
Okay.
um, yeah, different.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. All right. So being an artist, being an art teacher, being a mother,
Mhm.
being a daughter, how do you manage your time to do all of these things and still create these, I mean, amazing pieces? How do
Yeah.
you do it?
Thank you for that. Yeah, it's a lot. So the way I manage it is my art classes is how I manage it.
Okay.
So for me, the art classes is not only to learn things, but it's to keep up with the production of creating artworks and whatnot. So I do classes 4 times a month for four
Okay.
hours, and
Okay.
I'm actually going after today.
Oh,
Later
really?
today, I'm actually going to the art class. So
Okay.
I, in terms of space, before I didn't really have as much of a studio space to paint. But
Mhm.
I recently got a new place, which I'm in right now, and then
Okay.
so I do have a setup upstairs where I finally have like my easel up and my
Nice.
paints and whatnot. But it is hard to, now that I have my space, it is hard to find the time,
Yeah.
to do
Yeah.
it. 'Cause yes, you're right. I mean, I, besides teaching, then I have my kids to take care of, and
Mhm.
then it's a lot. But
Yeah.
again, I also feel, like I said before, I'm at the age where I want to pursue my art more, like
Yeah.
way more in terms of painting or, galleries or selling and
Okay.
myself out there, on that side. Because I mean, I love being an art teacher, but I
Mhm.
also want to be more, of that artist,
Yeah.
be known more, for my artworks.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, and I mean, geez, yeah, it's fantastic. When Mark told me about you, and
Mhm.
finally, got to see everything you have, I'm like, oh, Mark, why did you tell? You knew I was doing this show for a year. Why didn't you tell
Oh,
me?
really? Oh,
Yeah.
that's it.
But yeah, but I'm glad he got us in touch. I'm
Yeah,
absolutely, I'm glad to have finally get this interview, and then just to see all your work. It's
yeah.
amazing.
No, well, thank you for even giving me the opportunity, to
Yeah.
do something like this. So it's,
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
I actually feel honored to be in this interview,
Oh well.
too.
Yeah.
That you're taking
Yes.
the time to interview artists and to get to know them more
Yeah.
on a personal
Yeah.
level. I mean, I think that also is extremely important to
Yeah.
do. Exactly what you said. A lot of artists don't get the exposure or don't be or
Mhm.
are not appreciated or even like tell their story too.
Yes. Uh-huh.
They show it in the galleries and they have a blurb about it, but you
Yes.
really don't know the process or the ideas that went behind the work or the
Yes.
amount of work or whatnot. So you doing
Yeah.
these interviews are
Yeah. It's
fantastic.
funny. The way you said it
It's
is
a deeper
it's
level.
exactly how I feel. The way you just put it. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Great.
People go to, galleries, museums, or
Yeah.
they'll know like four or five like really famous, painters who some
Yes.
aren't even alive, but
Yeah.
it's yeah, you read a little three sentences and then you move on. How do you not
Yes.
no, how do you not want to know about the person that created this thing that you
Yeah.
love,
Yeah.
Yeah, blows my mind.
I know when I go to art galleries myself and I'm reading the blurb, I'm trying to read more into the
Yeah,
context of the blurb, but you're right. It's like three sentences. Like, how much can you get out of
yeah, yeah. It's
those
like,
sentences
okay.
about an artwork? And
Yeah.
it is about
Uh-huh.
your interpretation, but I think a lot
Yes.
of people obviously have that curiosity that,
Mhm.
what goes beyond just the meaning of the artwork or the process,
Yeah.
and all those
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
I think what you're
Absolutely.
doing is fantastic. So I
Yeah.
feel honored to be a
Oh
part of it.
no. Oh, I mean,
So,
the honor is all mine.
okay,
I swear.
thank you.
Okay. So I'm kind of jumping around here. But how did you sort of develop the style in which you wanted, to, because I mean, you've got different in your things, it's not just one certain look to your work,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
was there an idea that you had, okay, I want my art to look like this. I want, people to see it and know that this is something that I did.
yeah, definitely. That's something I'm still working on. I mean,
Yeah.
for a while I was working on the ideas, like what do I want to paint? What is my concept? What's my ideas? And then now I'm set in terms of I
Mhm.
I want to paint women and I want to
Yeah.
show the grace and beauty. And then now in terms of style, I have done a lot of styles. So I did a series where it's like watercolor and then
Yeah.
outlines with black pen on top.
Mm.
And then I did that motherhood series, which was
Yeah.
acrylic paint, and the faces aren't there. That's a completely different style,
Yeah. Yeah.
than I have right now. But because of my art classes that I'm taking right now are very technical based,
Okay.
and the style, it's exactly what you see. This is
Mhm.
actually where I'm going more towards in terms of I definitely want to show more figurative work, but almost in this, I call it a little bit impressionistic, but a little
Yeah.
bit yeah, like more loose
Yeah.
style.
Okay.
I think that definitely resonates with what I want to say in terms of women and showing the
Okay.
grace, and so showing even the loose brush strokes to kind of show
Yeah.
that beauty and that flow and
Yeah. Yeah.
the grace. So I'm definitely moving, I would say, towards this direction, but I might one day want
Oh.
to do, something completely, different. But as
Mhm.
of right now, I think I'm going towards like the realism, and going towards the figures and
Okay.
showing a little bit more impressionistic, brush
Yeah.
strokes to show the beauty.
Yeah. 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 That's great. Yeah. That's one of the things I love about like researching an artist when
Mhm.
I start at the bottom of, if it's Instagram or their website
Yeah,
and then scroll up and you can see sort of the, not necessarily the evolution, but just the certain phases of,
yes,
of things that you were doing. Yeah.
yeah,
Cause you've got a ton of things. I mean,
yeah, I do.
it's awesome. No, I think
Right.
it's
So
fantastic.
yeah,
Yeah.
there's a point where I do like a series, and then
Mhm.
but the style's the same, and then I change it and I go through like another series of
Yeah.
styles. So I think that is the challenging part about being an artist in terms of what you're talking about, like
Mhm.
being known
Yeah.
for a particular style. And
Mhm.
for me, I don't know if that's the reason why I'm not doing gallery shows as much or whatnot. That I'm trying to kind of find my niche,
Yeah.
and I'm trying to find that style or that again, I have the meaning, but the style that I want to be kind of known for.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I want to talk about, where is this? You've got some things listed on OpenSea,
Mhm.
and it's the Women in Nature
Yeah.
series.
Yeah.
Okay, so having, been doing art before, the NFT, sort of, I hate to call it a craze, but I mean it kind of came on like like a
Yes.
rocket. But
Yeah.
how do you, okay, first, are you planning on maybe doing more, minting NFTs and things like that? As a traditional artist,
Mhm.
you think that it's something that you would look into more,
Mhm.
as opposed to selling, like one of one paintings or a series of paintings?
Mhm. Yeah, it's a good question. So the NFTs I'm very new on,
Yeah.
and it's something I'm still trying to figure out. But I was thinking one of two things. I was thinking, how do I get more exposure in terms of people having my artworks, and obviously I was
Mhm.
also thinking of the monetary, getting money
Sure.
based on my artwork. So I'm testing it out.
Yeah. Yeah.
as as of right now, it's completely new, and I just
Mhm.
did all the research myself on how to buy, Ethereum, and then how do
Yeah.
you make a thing, and NFT site, and I haven't sold anything yet, so
Mhm.
it's also one of those things like, how do I get people, to sell
Yeah.
to buy my NFTs, too. But I do like the idea of artworks, having the original and having,
Yeah.
like only one person obviously has my artwork and that's
Mhm.
it, and they're the sole owner.
Yeah.
But when I do think of the digital space, or I think of copies, or I think of the NFTs, I also think the other side of me thinks that it's good to have, you know, um, multiple people owning my artworks, because
Yeah.
ultimately, art I feel should be seen, and art is one of
Yes.
the things that should be a part of community.
Mhm.
I have a lot of artworks where it's just in my house collecting dust.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like no one's gonna see it, or no one's buying it, or whatever it
Yeah.
is. But if I think I could grow to a scale where a lot of people are buying my artworks, even if it's not, the original piece,
Mhm.
I think of it more as exposure, and I
Yes.
think of it more that people are seeing it versus just like the one. I'll do definitely both. Like I
Yeah.
definitely the selling part too. I have an Etsy site, but I
Mhm.
only sold like 4 paintings, on the Etsy site too. So
Mhm.
it's definitely something I'm just trying to test the waters and
Yeah.
see, what works. But I will do both. Like I definitely
Yeah.
will sell my original artworks, but then I also try the, NFTs and
Yeah.
see if I could get somewhere there too. So
Yeah. For artists, it's like just another, another way to get yourself out there, another stream of revenue. And it's,
yeah,
I think it very important. In the beginning, I had my sort of doubts about it, like when it first came out,
yeah,
because a lot of the stuff, I mean, it wasn't art. I mean, I'll say it bluntly. It
yeah,
wasn't. There wasn't much thought put into these things,
yes,
but
yes,
once I think that sort of wave kind of died down and actual artists started making money from, from using it, I've grown to appreciate it. And yeah, it could be a beautiful thing for artists.
I noticed actually when I started posting the NFTs on Instagram, there was actually a
Mhm.
lot of scammers that
Yeah, yeah,
messaged me and trying to say, "Oh, I'll get you. We have all these followers. You just have to
yeah,
pay to." Da,
of
da, da.
course.
There's so
Yeah,
many,
yeah,
so
yeah,
many just sending messages over and over again. And again, I'm new to this,
yeah.
yeah, I
It's
did
terrible.
pay for one, but then I found out it was a scam.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Uh-huh.
it's definitely very challenging and tricky, and I also think it's very low for someone to take advantage of an artist,
Yeah,
trying to sell their artworks and scam
yeah.
them for money, and
Oh
it
yeah.
just it baffles me. In terms of,
Yeah, yeah.
you're stealing from art, like they're trying to promote themselves, and you're taking advantage of that
Yes.
promotion,
Uh,
and trying to
just
make money off
terrible.
of them.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, yeah, it really is. Yeah,
Yeah,
that gets me very upset. Yeah, and you know what? In the beginning, and this was one of the reasons why early on I was like, hold on a second. Yeah, there were so many scammers out there. Or you had people stealing, artists, stealing your artwork and minting it, trying to sell it. Just,
yes,
just
yeah,
terrible. But
yeah.
I do think that now the ship is starting to right itself. It's now becoming what I thought originally it was. It's, a place for artists, you know what I mean? And another way for artists to get out there. So yeah, if
Okay.
you could go anywhere to create, to be inspired by, anywhere in the world, where would you go?
Um, well, I have been here, but I would go to Italy.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
after college, I went to Italy for a month,
Oh,
and I
uh-huh.
took art classes, and I went to all the art museums and to all the Renaissance artworks. I hate to say, but I think Italy or Europe in general definitely appreciates art a lot more. I mean, you would walk and there would be an amazing chalk drawing on the
Yeah.
floor, or like someone had their easel out and they're
Hmm.
painting this amazing painting, as you're walking. But the architecture is
Yeah.
so great. It's
Hmm.
very historic. It's beautiful. The fountains.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
Venice. So
Yeah.
definitely
Uh,
Italy. I would go to back again.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there any artist who maybe inspired you the most as you were sort of growing as an artist?
Yeah, I mean, I really love Van Gogh's
Mm,
artworks in terms of the spirals and the textures and
mm,
you could definitely feel the emotions or the energy, he's putting behind the artwork.
Mhm.
And then in college, I learned about conceptual artist. His name's John Baldessari.
Okay.
And I was doing a lot of artworks actually very similar to John Baldessari.
Okay.
So on a conceptual standpoint, I really admire
Okay.
that artwork, and it influenced me too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So the plan now is to start showing a lot more galleries and things like that. Have you, I mean, recently, have you been reaching out to galleries and, I don't know, curators, maybe trying to find some placement?
Recently I have been doing online in terms of just
Uh-huh.
submitting
Yeah.
to some
Okay.
shows. Yeah,
Okay.
recently, but I
Okay.
have not, yeah, reached out to any galleries
Okay.
as of yet. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, when you finally show somewhere, and I mean, your art is obviously deserved of being in a gallery, I will absolutely be there.
Oh, thank
All
you.
right. Yeah.
Means a lot.
All right.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, of course, of course. All right. So the final question I like to ask everyone is, what advice would you give to a young up and coming artist that either you wish you were told where you when you were younger, or something that you learned along the way?
Yeah. So advice I give, my students is um, to believe in yourself. So, you're your own worst critic. And
Mhm.
when it comes to art, it's a lot of fear in terms of, showing your work and criticism. What are
Mhm.
people gonna, say about my artworks? It's not good enough, and
Mhm.
there's just a lot of self-criticism. So I think the advice I would give is just, you got to be confident. You got to be confident in yourself. Like, you have a unique perspective or artwork that no one else in the world,
Yeah.
has. And a lot of time, yes, it's selling your art, but it's also selling you, as a person, in terms of the art comes from you. So you are selling yourself in that sense, of creating the artwork. But and also my other advice I give my students is just don't take no for an answer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, you're gonna
Hey.
get a lot of no's along the way. It's gonna
Mhm.
happen. You're gonna get rejected, but
Yeah.
you gotta keep pushing through, because that one opportunity that will lead you to another,
Yeah.
opportunity.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, don't take no. I know that personally. I've the number of artists that I've reached out to
Uh-huh.
compared to the number of interviews I've done.
Oh,
If I believed in no, I would have shut this down a long time ago.
that's
But yeah.
great. I'm surprised that you don't have more people that are
Yeah.
willing to, yeah,
Yeah. You
do
know, it's
interviews.
funny though, the last couple weeks, just sort of out of nowhere, it's really picked up, and I'm
Good.
yeah, yeah, it's awesome. I love doing this. I love talking to
Yeah.
artists. I love, whatever. I mean, at this point now with the show, as small, exposure that I could give, I'm happy to do it. So all right. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
Artist, teacher, mother, Janet Yoo, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you.